Hey everyone! Welcome back to the UPSC Monk, where we don't just study for an exam, we evolve into thinkers, strategists, and disciplined minds ready to serve the nation. Today's topic is something truly special. Most aspirants treat UPSC exam prep like a school exam, cram facts, memorize books, revise, and hope for the best. But let me ask you, would you become a great musician just by memorizing notes? Would you become a skilled athlete just by reading about techniques? Would you become a great leader just by knowing history? Of course not. Mastery doesn't come from passive learning. It comes from understanding, experimenting, failing, refining, and growing. And that's exactly how you should approach UPSC preparation. Sounds interesting, isn't it? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll learn how to approach UPSC syllabus like an art, a craft, and a journey to self-discovery. Step 1. Become an apprentice, the right way to learn UPSC syllabus. Picture this. You want to become a world-class painter. Would you just buy a famous artist's sketchbook, stare at the pages, and expect to become a master? Of course not. You'd first learn the basics. How to hold a brush, how to mix colors, how to create depth and texture. You'd practice every day, make mistakes, get feedback, and improve over time. This is exactly how Leonardo da Vinci learned. Before painting the Mona Lisa, he spent years under a mentor, carefully studying every detail like light, shadow, and human anatomy, etc., etc. But when it comes to UPSC preparation, most aspirants do the exact opposite. They jump into books like standard or advanced books without first building a strong foundation, seeking guidance, understanding inserts books, and learning the right approach. They dive into self-study, assuming they already know what's important, and end up spending countless hours on less relevant topics. They read for hours, highlight lines, and mistake passive reading for real learning, repeating the same cycle and unknowingly wasting a huge amount of time. But when they try to recall it after a few days or weeks or months, they struggle. Why? Because passive reading isn't learning. Real mastery in UPSC prep comes from a process. Understand, apply, get feedback, and refine or improve. Instead of blindly memorizing polity, they never pause to ask, why was our Constitution framed the way it was? They focus on facts, but miss the deeper understanding that UPSC truly tests. For example, when studying federalism, they don't connect it with real-life events, like how center-state relations played out during COVID-19 policy decisions. This lack of interlinking or application makes their preparation shallow and ineffective. And when it comes to modern history, they simply memorize names and dates, without ever stepping into the shoes of a freedom fighter, feeling the urgency, the sacrifices, and the emotions that shaped India's independence. Think, what if you were Gandhi during the non-cooperation movement? Would you have withdrawn it after Chauri Chora? Why or why not? For every topic or chapter or subject you study, don't just read. Write a short answer, even if it's just 5 lines. Get it checked by a mentor or senior, or test yourself with PYQs to identify your strengths and weaknesses. Without feedback, you won't know if you're truly understanding or just passively reading. This will force your brain to actively process information. UPSC is not about memorizing facts, it's about thinking like an administrator. Treat your UPSC preparation like an apprenticeship, learning from those who've already walked the path, just as Da Vinci learned painting under a master. Start small, build strong foundations, test yourself daily, and improve step by step. The students who follow this approach don't just study, they master the UPSC syllabus. They avoid the endless trial and error cycle, learning from those who've already made the mistakes, and save themselves countless hours of wasted effort. And those are the ones who clear the exam. Having a mentor at every stage of life, whether it's a parent, teacher, professor, senior, or guru, doesn't mean you're weak or incapable. It's simply how growth and mastery work. Step 2. The experimentation mode. Why you must get out of your comfort zone. Imagine this. You've been learning how to swim by watching YouTube tutorials, reading about different strokes, and even memorizing tips from expert swimmers. But you never actually step into the water, Will you ever learn how to swim? No. The real learning happens when you dive in, struggle, make mistakes, and correct them. This is exactly how UPSC preparation works. Many aspirants spend months reading books, making notes, and feeling productive, but when it's time to write a full-length answer or solve a tough GS question, they freeze. Why? Because deep down, they fear finding out that they're not ready. They don't want to see a bad score in a mock test. They avoid writing answers because they think, let me study more first. But this fear is exactly what keeps them stuck. Let's take inspiration from Thomas Edison. When he was inventing the light bulb, he didn't just sit in his lab thinking about theories. He conducted over 1,000 failed experiments before finally succeeding. Imagine if he had waited until he was fully ready before testing his ideas. He would have never discovered what worked. Instead of fearing failure, Edison saw every failed attempt as a step forward. He once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And that's the mindset UPSC aspirants need to develop. And this is where most UPSC aspirants fail. They keep studying but never take action. They read about ethics but never attempt case studies. They study history but never write an answer from a previous year's paper. They revise CSAT formulas but never sit for a full-length practice test. But here's the truth. If you don't test yourself now, UPSC will test you when it's too late. The solution? Force yourself into experimentation mode. Start writing answers, even if they're bad. You'll improve only by doing. Attempt mock tests early, not just in the last 1 or 2 months. Your first mocks will be tough, but that's the point. Discuss topics with friends or mentors and defend your opinions. If you struggle to explain something, it means you don't understand it well enough. Think of every mistake as a stepping stone. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to get better every single day. Step out of your comfort zone now, because the more you struggle in practice, the easier it will be in the actual exam. Step 3. Now let's talk about the one skill that sets toppers apart: deep focus. If you master this, you'll not just clear the exam, you'll dominate it. But most aspirants never train their focus. They sit down to study, but within minutes their phone buzzes. Telegram groups are flooding with messages, YouTube recommendations pull them into random videos, and before they know it, hours are wasted. They think they are studying, but in reality, their mind is scattered in 10 different directions. This is not studying, this is mental chaos. And in a battle like UPSC, a distracted mind is a defeated mind. Now imagine a monk meditating, completely still, fully present, immersed in the moment. That's the kind of focus you need for UPSC prep. The best aspirants don't just read books. They train their minds to go deep, absorb concepts, and stay locked in for hours. How do you build this monk-like focus? Use the 90-minute deep study block method. Pick a subject, remove all distractions, set a timer for 90 minutes, and go all in. No phone, no notifications, no background noise, just pure, undisturbed study. After 90 minutes, take a short break, then repeat. This is how toppers study. If you struggle with long hours, start with the Pomodoro technique. Study for 50 minutes, take a 10-minute break, and repeat. Slowly increase your focus span. After every study session, do a 5-minute self-recap. Take a blank sheet and write down the main takeaways from your session. This forces your brain to process what you learned and strengthens your memory. Action step. From today, study like a monk. No multitasking, no background noise, no half-hearted efforts. When you study, study. When you rest, rest. Train your brain to go deep, and the results will follow. Because in the end, it's not the hours you put in, it's the focus you bring that makes all the difference. Step 4. The art of interlinking. Let me ask you something. When you study geography, do you also think about environment? When you read about governance, do you connect it with ethics? Or do you treat each subject like a separate box, studying them in isolation? The UPSC exam isn't just about memorizing facts. It's about how well you connect knowledge. The questions in prelims, mains, and even the interview round are designed to test whether you can think beyond subjects and see the bigger picture. Imagine you're studying climate change in geography. Now, a topper doesn't stop there. They immediately ask, how does climate change affect biodiversity? What are the global efforts like COP summits and the Paris Agreement? How do India's environmental policies align with global agreements? What ethical responsibility do governments and individuals have in tackling climate change? This is how a topper studies. They don't just read, they interlink, and that's exactly what makes their answers stand out in mains. But most aspirants don't do this. They treat Laxmikanth like just polity. They read N-Cert geography as just facts. And they never train their minds to see the web of connections. But UPSC won't ask questions from one subject alone. It will ask integrated questions that demand an interlinked perspective. How do you train this skill? Whenever you study a topic, pause and ask, how is this linked to other subjects? Use a mind map. Start with a core topic and draw connections to different GS subjects. Practice answer writing with an interlinked approach. In mains, if a question is on disaster management, don't just write geography points. Also include governance strategies, ethical responsibilities, and international case studies. Action step. From today, stop thinking in subject boxes. The real UPSC syllabus is not a list of topics, it's a web of interconnections. Train yourself to see the bigger picture, and you won't just clear the exam, you'll master it. Step 5. Mastering yourself. Now, here's the most important part of this journey. Even if you follow all the strategies I've shared, even if you study for 10 hours a day, take notes, and solve 100 mock tests, you will still struggle if you don't develop the right mindset. Because UPSC is not just a knowledge test, it's a character test. It's a test of how well you can handle pressure, uncertainty, and self-doubt. It's about who you become in this process. Can you remain disciplined for months without seeing results? Can you avoid distractions while your friends enjoy their weekends? Can you handle failure and come back stronger? This is what separates those who clear the exam from those who just keep preparing for long, long years. Let's take inspiration from history. Sardar Patel didn't just unite India because he had knowledge of administration. He had unbreakable determination. Despite immense opposition, he stayed focused on his goal and transformed India's political map. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam didn't become the missile man of India just by studying science. He faced repeated failures but never gave up. He saw multiple mission failures at ISRO and DRDO, but instead of quitting, he learned from each mistake and came back stronger. Chanakya, one of the sharpest minds in Indian history, didn't build the Mauryan Empire overnight. He went through humiliation, exile, and hardship, but he turned every setback into a lesson. Mahatma Gandhi was thrown out of a train in South Africa. Most people would have given up, but that moment ignited his inner fire. He didn't let humiliation break him. Instead, he used it as fuel to fight for justice. Now ask yourself, are you ready to do the same? Most aspirants see UPSC as an exam, but the real game is bigger than that. It's a battle against your weaknesses. Action step. From today, stop thinking like an exam taker. Start thinking like a future officer. UPSC doesn't just reward intelligence, it rewards grit, strategy, and resilience. It's not about how much you know, it's about how you apply, how you adapt, and how you keep going even when things seem impossible. So, whenever you feel like quitting, remember this. Every great leader, every great officer, every great mind was once just a student who refused to give up. And if they could do it, so can you. So, my friends, let's take a moment to recap everything we learned today, because knowledge without action is meaningless. 1. Become an apprentice. Stop rushing. Seek mentor or senior, understand concepts, learn deeply, and build a strong foundation. Don't just read, engage, question, and absorb. 2. Experiment fearlessly. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Write answers, attempt mocks, and test yourself daily. Growth comes from action, not hesitation. 3. Master deep focus. Your mind is your greatest weapon. Train it to concentrate like a monk. Cut out distractions and immerse yourself in your studies. 4. Interlink Knowledge. UPSC is not a set of separate subjects. Everything is connected. Train yourself to see the bigger picture. 5. Master yourself. At the end of the day, UPSC is not just a test of knowledge. It's a test of your discipline, patience, and resilience. The strongest minds don't just survive, they thrive under pressure. Now let me ask you, which of these 5 strategies will you start applying today? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. And if you're truly committed to this exam preparation, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because here at the UPSC Monk, we don't just study for an exam. We transform into the kind of people who are ready to lead, serve, and make a difference. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay focused, and remember, UPSC is not just an exam, it's a path to mastery. See you in the next video.